That's what's been there a lot.
Okay.
That's like,
We got it.
We are. For rehab.
Oh, good. Yeah, she really thought she was gonna see him. I think it was. Saturday. Did she work on the?
She works Sunday.
Or maybe it was Sunday. She thought it was Sunday.
Gonna be signing anything?
Sorry?
Signing anything?
Yes, I guess if I need to sign,
Okay,
I'll wait until we do the.
well, I'm gonna need a pen, it's just I thought I had my.
Okay.
I got one. You got an extra one for me? Okay. Okay, I usually have one, but I switched it.
You got two?
Oh, you got- yes.
Extra.
Thank you. Yes, it just ran.
There you go.
Right, you're fine.
Maybe I should get that one synced up with myself.
Come see yours.
Yourself,
No, myself says it's 6:27, but that says 6:30. I'm gonna go and change that. I'm making a
You're
second.
gonna change it?
Mhm.
All right.
I'm sorry, but I don't.
6:27.
See, no, I like that. I like that sort of thing, you know? Grab the bull by the horn, make it happen.
you just prolonged the meeting 3 minutes, so.
I'm sorry. Sorry to do that to
You'll
you.
make sure you go to 6:28 while you're doing it.
It did. I put it at 6:28. I'm in seconds. We're gonna start a minute early.
That's
That's
it.
for you,
Just
Eric.
for me.
I can just.
Yes.
Any flooding issue out there?
What's that?
Do we have any flooding issue?
Some damage, but compared to a lot of towns I've seen today, we're,
Pretty good.
yeah, overall, I mean, it's ugly out there in a few spots, but.
Sanitary district was okay with all the water flow?
What was that?
Sanitary district?
I haven't heard from that today.
They're only giving us that.
You know, we're gonna get some more over the next 72 hours, so
Okay.
we'll see.
Water, people know what they need.
Done.
I'll expect that out.
Great, I have enough right now.
Yep. Yeah.
I'm sure they're very pretty tough. The creek doesn't.
No, that's all.
Not a drop still, but we're taking down to her, he's already gonna see him.
So much.
Yes, so it's crazy. So she'll cut them up over 10,000. Probably.
All right.
6:30, we'll call this meeting to order.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All councilors are present. So are you taking notes then, Vic? Are you the note? Minutes guy?
So, yeah, so I'm just kind of loosely taking track here of, I'll try to keep an eye on everything. And saving grace is gonna be, Janice gonna watch the video.
Right, she can pause.
Yeah, and actually she does, you know, so.
Well, Daryl and I would like to start the meeting with just a moment of silence for our Public Works Someone who's very important to this community, John Rowe. We would just like to take a moment of silence to remember him. Thank you. There will be no executive session to start. Does anybody have any adjustments to the agenda? Did you have any that you need to make
I'm sorry,
adjustments to the agenda?
adjustments to the agenda. I have none.
I don't have any either. So we'll check in. Okay, we'll start with the public hearings. 6.1, a liquor license renewal for Dad's Place. Do you have any information? So, I'm assuming once it comes to us that.
Yeah, so
Jack.
I didn't make copies,
Okay,
but
that's fine.
here are the originals.
Okay.
And I have pigeonholed the pages where you folks will need to sign.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll pass those over to you.
Okay, this way we can.
Has Jeff signed off on him?
Yes, so I spoke to Jeff late last week, and he told me that he was gonna stop and see Janice on Friday last week to square up with her. I'm assuming he did. I haven't had time to review these myself, but
That's okay, because the public
They
hearing
have
is just
come
for
in.
anyone to bring
Right,
their
Jeff.
concerns.
Jeff didn't have any issue with either location.
Okay, so we'll open the public hearing then for Dad's Place and the Silver Spur. So if anyone has any comments, complaints, suggestions, we can take that information down. Whether Chief Goss has approved it yet or not. Okay, well, barring none, we'll close the public hearings. And then we move on to consideration and discussion for those liquor license renewals for Dad's Place and the Silver Spur. Anyone have any discussion? Okay, well, I'd entertain a motion to renew those both. We can have a motion to approve them both.
I make a motion that we accept the liquor license renewal for Dad's Place and the Silver Spur.
I'm second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Okay, and for discussion, Christmas in Poland food sales at rec games.
Oh, the good stuff. Okay, so here's my story and I'm sticking to it. I got an email about a month or so ago at this point from Scott Siegel, wanting to know after having a conversation with Justin Starberg concerning the possibility of selling food during the rec games out back here. Scott and Justin had agreed that even though there was a snack shack out here, that the time, effort, energy to do all of that, given what they were already doing, wasn't worth it. And it's my understanding that the folks from the Poland Christmas in Poland committee stepped up and wanted to pursue the possibility of selling food at the games. And in my long conversation with Scott, I told him that I'd have to do some due diligence. My first concern is always about liability. And so I wanted to make sure that we were going to be okay in terms of liability. And on that front, I'll jump ahead in several discussions with Nicole from MMA Risk and through Scott. The town of Poland also has their insurance through MMA, and the Poland Rec Committee is covered for liability insurance, and where this committee is an extension of that. Nicole was absolutely fine with getting a letter of making us co-insured on their policy. So the liability issue in terms of selling food out here now goes away. So that's good. In my research for this, because it isn't like I can just open up a book that we may have soon, coming to a theater near you, the codification thing, maybe next month. But it isn't like I can just open a book and, oh, there's an ordinance. I had to hunt high and low, and what I put in the packet was, and I sent to Chris, I believe it's Kristen, from Christina, from the Christmas and Poland Committee. I sent them and Scott the information, ordinance information I found from the 1990s for the town. It's the only thing that I found until just the other day. I was looking for something else, and I came across what I put on your table for this evening. And essentially, it's an updated version of the ordinance from the 90s. Now, in reading the ordinance, and this is where we get to the part where you guys, I'm just going to provide you with the information. Obviously, you do whatever it is that you would like to do. The ordinance, after going through it, I do not feel adequately applies to this situation. In both the 1990s and the more recent ordinance, they both stipulate that you can't sell food on town property. Well, in this particular situation, they're asking to sell food on town property. So in that way, this ordinance really doesn't apply to that. Because they're asking to do something that for a normal vendor situation, which this is not like Vic's hot dog stand out on the corner by the bridge looking to make a buck. This is for altruistic nonprofit business looking to do some fundraising for their activity that benefits the community. So I feel comfortable from where I sit to have you guys say, while interesting information and we can use it as a guide, it's not going to clear the hurdle of you can't sell on town property. So if you allow this permit to go through, essentially you're saying, yes, go ahead and sell on town property. And there seemed to be a lot of confusion in the ordinances in terms of how much to charge for the permit and how much and whose authority and how the duration of the permit. And so there's kind of some loosey-goosey going on between the 1990s version and the latest version.
Well, it says $10 on the 94 one.
What's that?
It says $10. We can lose $10 with this permit application.
Yeah, so,
Well, in the 90s one would be null and void once this
yes.
was effective.
Yes, exactly, and I'm glad I found this, again, just serendipity, So I guess my counsel to the council is this. While we do want to make always a good faith effort to follow the town's ordinances, this particular situation really, it's like a square peg in a round hole. It really doesn't quite apply.
Well, I have a question to kind of head this off. So what does the snack shack, do we know what that was under? Or is it just because it was part of the?
It was part of the town, considered part of the town.
Because the rec department would technically be under the.
So it was Mechanic Falls rack.
And I think there's some issues with the shack itself, don't quote me.
Oh, I don't mean why we don't have it anymore. I just mean, how could they sell it? And they can sell it because it was under Mechanic.
So I think what they want to do, wave their magic wand, it's my understanding that what they want to do is they want to buy a mobile unit, some sort of
Well, I'm
trailer.
thinking that they're gonna use the word
Yeah.
they basically bring to the sports games in Poland. So they already have this. It's part of theirs.
So again, that very well may be, the information I received was this particular committee was looking to purchase a different something and have it here only for the games and to take it off site when not in use.
Well, it
Okay,
says
so-
though that it's Christine Williams and the Poland Park and Recs Department
Yeah,
that are the owners of it.
Well, that's what I mean, because I don't know if you've ever been to one of the games, but like the kids, the football games, they have a trailer there and it's set up for all of this stuff. And I think it's the Poland Rec, so I wonder if this is what she's talking about, but now that the Poland Rec has Christmas in Poland, that's what it's gonna be going to.
yeah.
And I only ask that because aren't we working, isn't Poland Rec and Mechanic Falls Rec working together? Like, how can we incorporate it as that? I mean, I know we're moving away from the ordinance, but you're right, it's not like just someone coming to make money, it's to
Yeah.
put it back into the community and we work together, it's not like,
Well, and which community is it going to? Because it just says all proceeds earned will go into our nonprofit organization for future community activities. Technically, they're part of Poland Rec. So I would assume it would go to Poland's activities, not Mechanic Falls.
well,
activities.
yeah, but we work together with them. They're like they do all of the sign up stuff.
This isn't right, this is the Christmas in Poland.
Part of
Oh.
part of the Poland Rec Department.
This is going to the Christmas thing, not to the rec.
That's the name of the business, but it's, the owner of it is that.
I understand, but the owner can have several different things that they do.
Okay, so can we,
So to answer some of your questions and your questions, so to the best of my knowledge, just based on what people tell me. So Scott, based on the thread that I saw with Scott and Justin, the town of Mechanic Falls and the town of Poland has joined at the hip, if you will, on certain sports activities, not all. It's not like it's the Poland Mechanic Falls Rec Committee, but they have a strong loose association, particularly with baseball and softball, as I understand it. And because of that association and the fact that nobody is currently doing fundraising by selling food, they thought it would be a wonderful opportunity for them to raise funds. And the proceeds would technically go to the Christmas in Poland Committee, which is an offshoot of the Poland Rec Committee under its umbrella. In the Christmas in Poland Committee, if you remember last Christmas, they helped to return the Christmas parade in Mechanic Falls. So there's this loose, good faith, varying degrees of joint effort and solo efforts that are essentially just trying to push the communities closer together and do some good. And so for me, once I had the liability issue solved, I don't have a problem personally, professionally with them selling food out here. My only concern is trash. And so I had a long conversation with Scott about this, Scott Siegel and Scott Penny and Jeff, that if you guys allow this to take place, and this will be very much understood with Christina and Scott Siegel, that they are expected to make sure that the place isn't just a trash heap after the games and then people go away. Because I don't want town employees to have to make any more of an effort than they already do tidying the ship. Because that would be an undue burden on the town. With that said, assuming we can get people to take care of the trash and everybody has a mindful eye of watching that. I suggested to them that they first, if it's going to be sometime before they get the trailer, they may want to consider selling out of the back of their cars. And so I think it's my understanding for the first few games, they may do that sort of thing. You may see several units. That's why in the application, there's different vehicles listed. But
My concern is, since they are not a town entity, and the ordinance specifically says no operation on town property, is that we'll be opening ourselves up to other entities saying, well, they're allowed, so we should be allowed as well.
that's up to you guys to
Okay, so
decide.
I hear where you're coming from, but I also think that we can also, as a council, we can say, so I see on this permit that they say May 1st, 2023 to June 2024. We say through only this summer. and then they need to come back for and maybe next year, maybe. I mean, I can't see, as a mom and who had kids who was participating in this, when there was no snack shack, I mean. They're gonna make a lot of money, they're gonna have a lot of happy kids and a lot of happy parents. I mean, of course, there's always the pros and the cons. And there could be some trash and you can't take care of all of it. They can put up a sign and they can clean up after. I just think this is a great opportunity. I think we could poke holes in it all day if we wanted, but quite frankly, it's gonna be good for everybody. That's where I'm coming from. I know that there's possible issues, but if you took care of the liability issue, and this is a town. It is a town thing. It's a nonprofit with Poland Parks Recreation, and we work closely with them. When we have all of these people vouching for it, saying, yeah, this is a great idea. And not even as a council person, but like I said, as a mom, kids, they love that stuff. And it's gonna be money, from the community back into the community for a great cause. So it's like, for me, it's a no-brainer.
So we're going to look at this as a town.
I mean, if we need to have if you feel like there needs to be some more than an agreement, and if we change the date on it, just so that they have like a trial run, because I mean, if it ended up being like there was always trash and it just didn't turn out right, we can, I mean, and at any point, we could also revoke it and say it's not working, because we can have Scott Penny being like, I haven't seen any trash, or it's been that's his backyard, so he could, be, sort of the eyes on. But I have a feeling that these parents are gonna love it, and if they know that that's one of the concerns, they're gonna make sure that it's taken care of. I mean,
I agree.
if there's one thing that I'm all for, it's for anything for the kids, and if it's,
Give them a try.
I mean.
I
The
would
only
change
thing,
the dates.
I would change the dates, because I think we need to give them a try for this season.
Do you know when the season ends?
Well, they said June 2024 here, and maybe they meant June 2023, but I would say this summer season, because they
That's
also,
what I'm asking.
Yeah.
They do soccer too, don't they?
well, they just don't do soccer back here, though. This is
But I wonder if they would like to do it during
Tournament.
the summer in the adult leagues.
Yeah.
so, okay, so we say this
So, right, so,
season, yes, and come back to it next season.
Or ending maybe November 1st, that's.
for August even, I mean, you're done,
You
you're
just-
done
I think the adults.
Fall.
all through.
I don't know if they'll want to do it, but if they do, I don't want to cut them off, but I do, but having a deadline that we can evaluate it. And maybe we can say, hey, maybe they could come to a council meeting in September, October, November, and tell us kind of how it
Well, I
went.
mean, even if we go to, even if we went to the end of August, if they wanted to do fall, we can extend it through the fall.
Right,
We
Why
can-
don't you just do December 31st?
Yeah.
Every year, done.
whatever we can decide on it. But I want an end date, I don't want it to go through next spring, because I would like to evaluate it. I'd like to hear how it went, quite frankly, and how much money they raised, and, the pros and cons, what they might change. I mean, this is a great opportunity. The snack shack was meant.
What's the liability
There is-
issue?
So for me, first and foremost, is general liability. I think that if they're going to, and I have been involved personally in organizations myself and selling at football games in the Oxford Hills, blah, blah, blah. So I've done this. I know what it looks like on the ground. The only thing I'm a little rusty on, I think, and I believe, that if you're going to sell food, hot food, if you're going to prepare any type of food, then the state needs to give you a permit as well.
A commercial kitchen like.
And so I think that may be some sort of stumbling block for them, or at least a hurdle for them. But that's with the state.
Yeah, that's not.
So that's all the state's thing. For me, it's just make sure that if somebody is out here and they buy a hot dog and then they trip on the something and that we're covered, and
Why can't they sign a liability waiver
yeah,
with
well,
the permit?
That
So-
wouldn't cover the person buying the hot dog.
so
No, but
the good news
He's
is,
got that covered.
so the good news is because of the tightness that Poland also is with MMA, our insurer, and they have their own liability insurance, they can just give us a copy of that and make us a co-insured. So it kind of alleviates all of this sort of stuff. It takes the onus off the town of Mechanic Falls and it puts the onus on the town of Poland.
And they're insuring both of us, so they're not gonna do that if they feel like it's a huge liability. But that's why I was asking what this snack shack was licensed on, if you will. Because I know it's gonna be different, because it's gonna be a mobile food cart, but I'm saying, what was the liability here?
They had their own liability policies, right?
So I would assume
Well,
that
so
as the rec committee, it would probably fell under the town's insurance at that time. Don't know. I haven't researched
Well,
it.
but the town insurance doesn't have a license to sell food. You know, that's
Yes,
that's the
yeah.
part.
But they need to go to the Department of.
They need to do their thing, so they're only asking us if they can do it here.
Yeah.
And we're saying, you have permission to do it here, you do what you need to do on your end.
And we're making sure that if, God forbid, somebody trips and falls and smashes their face, that
Chokes
we're
on their
covered
dog.
for that.
Yes,
Yeah, I just want to make sure we're covered and we'll be okay.
well, right, and I think that's all we can do.
We
Okay,
have to
so,
make an amendment to allow. Because it states that no, we can't do it on town property. Do we have to amend that and make an amendment, a special
Well,
exception for?
See, this is where I think you set the ordinance aside.
yeah, because it's not actually, it's not an outside, it's a nonprofit in the next town over who's coming in to help us. Like it's a
That
partnership.
doesn't fall under that,
Well,
under the policy.
I would
no, we're
think,
not talking about policy, we're talking about ordinance, I thought.
I
Yeah,
would
the
think,
ordinance.
I would think it would, because town property is town property, whether it's.
Well, and that's
So
why I
we
want to
would
marry
have
it to
to-
the snack shack thing. How can we incorporate it? What is it that we need to do to incorporate it? Because we got to do it in that building. If they wanted to, I mean, I know that building is dilapidated, but they could essentially, they could do this in that building, right?
But it wasn't a mobile vendor.
Well, I know, and that's
the
that
difference.
building is not
That's the-
sufficient.
So if you're gonna follow, if you choose, and it's your choice, if you choose to follow the ordinance information that you have in front of you, then de facto, you have to refuse them because it says you can't sell on town property.
Well, what about?
That's why I'm saying is that you use it as a guide
Can't at all.
and you set it aside
If you go
because this isn't exactly that situation. It's a different situation.
under paragraph A, it says no operation within the right of way of public or private roadways. Number 2 is no operation on town owned property.
So where would they do it then? What would they get a thing for?
There were mobile vendors.
No,
back in
but
the
where would they get it for then? What would they, if they're applying for one, where would they have it be?
Well, it could be on the side of the road.
Up here.
Which I would say that anytime that I've seen it, it's always been on town property, like during the town days and stuff like that. So I don't think,
Yes, but-
in my mind, this hasn't really been followed very well.
During the,
Because when I think about what we've had in the community days, since I've lived in
Correct.
town, they've really been on town property.
but if you look at the entities that were on town property, they were at school or they were some kind of a.
There was some vendors selling,
I did, I wasn't mobile, I guess I was out of the back of my car though.
yeah, but I mean, even if you really wanna go to the community days when they had vendors selling things like, just
Signs,
Big Macs or whatever, I mean, whatever it might be that they're selling. Yes, they were.
Yeah,
They
It's a
were,
park.
they were in the park.
That's right.
Yeah, I
So-
would say for the sake of this, we set this aside.
I
because
think
it's
we
not-
can,
I
because
think we don't charge them, because if we charge them, then we're acknowledging that it's, whatever, we give them, we do an agreement, not a mobile vendor permit. We do an agreement that they might do this, and we marry it with what the.
Snack shack.
What the snack shack was, that's what I would recommend, so that we're acknowledging that this is gonna be something that's. Another town, and because we don't have a snack shack, they're coming here to do it, and it just so happens that they're bringing their own cars to do it from, because this building's not.
A joint community venture.
I mean, I think that if you were gonna charge them anything. Which I'm not saying that we should, it would be something like 10% goes to our rec department,
Yeah.
something like that.
Hey, right.
Like 10% of the profit, not
Right.
10% of what they bring
And
in.
also,
But I'm not saying that we do that, I'm just saying that if I was gonna do anything, I would say have that money go to the rec department, because that's kind of what that field is.
I think that. I wouldn't be opposed to that, but let's see what they do the first.
Yeah,
yeah, after the first year, right,
right.
yeah. Janice, write all of these things down, because you're gonna hate something.
What do you, Janice?
I mean, I want to make this happen, so I don't want to put roadblocks up. I mean, we can, like I said, we can poke holes in this all day. Let's just write.
Certainly, if you go by the spirit of this, there's a big difference between somebody coming in for a profit and somebody that's a nonprofit, doing something to help community.
Right.
There's a huge difference.
And it's gonna go into the town next to us, but
Well,
our
and the
kids
other
are
thing
gonna
about
go.
this, technically, they're supposed to go to the planning board and get a conditional use permit. If we were to follow it, that's why, my opinion is, I think we should set it aside as a mutual joint venture
Yes.
between two
Right,
communities.
so if that's what we have to call it, so that it's not, that so we're not going against an ordinance, so the next person who comes in says, but you let them sell, and we'll say, okay, but that was a mutual joint venture between two towns who work closely, whose rec departments work closely together.
That's why if you had that 10% going to our rec department, it really would be a joint, or even 5% or something. If you had something going into our rec department, it literally would be a
So
joint.
then we can propose that, because they can say, sure, hey, if it's.
Even if 2% or 1%, like it literally would be a joint venture at that point. I know it's a technicality, but it really would be, they would be giving something to our rec.
Well, I wouldn't want this not to happen on a technicality, so if we need to have a technicality to make it that,
So
So be it.
I have them sitting on my shoulder and they want me to tell you that time is of the
then
essence.
make this happen.
And so if you favor doing
I wish
this,
they had come tonight.
what's that?
I wish they had come tonight.
Well, they knew that, they actually, at the 59th second of the 11th hour, wanted this on your last month's agenda, and I told them I had to chase the liability thing. And so they all knew that it was tonight. And.
They all have kids playing baseball and
Yeah,
stuff, I do know
Yeah,
that, so.
but if they're going to do this, the season is now, they need to
Yeah.
order, blah, blah, blah. So if you want this to happen, then I'm assuming you're gonna give us the latitude for me to do a quick, simple agreement with them based on the spirit of what I'm hearing. And have them sign off on it, and then we'll do it for the season or for a date that you give in the motion.
Well, I'd entertain a motion that someone,
I make a motion that we set aside the current ordinance on our book about mobile vendors. In good faith, community cooperation between Poland Rec and Mechanic Falls Rec. And that we do a conditional or special exception for this. And we allow them from May 1st to December 31st. And
What's the date?
from May 1st to December 31st,
December 31st.
have a 2023 season.
2023 season. And that in order to make it a joint venture that. What do you think?
I think you need to say you have the ball fields. If you're gonna go into December, because they could set up shop in the school. I'm just saying. Like, if you're not specific in saying that. it's
Trailer
only-
will be parked at the ball field during baseball games, and will be removed off the premise and will return, so.
I understand.
And our ball field.
Okay, at the ball fields, right. To sell at the ball fields
Still at the ball field
exclusively.
from May 1st through December 31st, 2023. No permitting required, but
Oh, I
An
like that.
update, an update, maybe like at the end
No
of the season.
permitting from the town, they might have to have
yeah,
something. from-
no permitting from the town. But an update will be expected at our January 1st meeting of 2024.
Update report at the council's January 2024 meeting.
Yeah, chances are they're. It's gonna be, or at the end of their,
At
they
the end of
season,
their
they may,
season.
I mean, they wrote June 2024 here, but that may have been June 2023. I would like to hear sooner rather than later, and they're saying baseball fields, like, that's this. As soon as when their season wraps.
When
up.
their season wraps up.
Yeah.
Okay, at the end of the season.
I mean, this is,
For
I'm
2023.
hoping for a good report. This is gonna be a positive thing we want to hear about.
All right, so I think
We need
we're
someone
all
to second.
good. I have the elements, I believe. and certainly the spirit of where you want to go. So I'm good on my end. Do need the vote.
We need
Need
a
a
second.
second and a vote.
Second,
Any further discussion?
All those in favor?
Thank you.
Moving on to general reports. I entertain a motion for the meeting minutes for the April council meeting and the special meeting from April 25th.
I move that we accept the minutes from May, April 3rd and April 24th as written.
I second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
I make a motion, we accept the department reports as submitted.
Second,
How's that?
All those in favor?
Thank you.
We'll open this up for public comments. You have 3 minutes. Please state your name and your address. Make sure that the microphone is on, please.
Mary Martin, 19 Jordan Road. And on behalf of the RSU 16 school board, just a couple of things I wanted to remind you of. Tomorrow is the referendum for the bond to replace the heating systems in our elementary school. And we did have a public hearing information meeting last Wednesday and addressed some public questions about it then. The next thing that we'll be doing is our budget approval, which is a little different than the towns. And if you remember last year, the communities voted to keep it a 2-step process, which is to have the budget meeting and then to have the referendum. So that budget meeting is May 23rd at the high school. And we will go through the 21 articles for the school budget. And then when we have the referendum, it's just a yes or no. And I know some of the feedback that I've gotten sometimes is people feel like because that's just a yes, no vote, that it's not as transparent as certainly when you put it out there, you're voting on all the cost centers. But we're required by law to follow this process. So hopefully people will come to the district budget meeting because that's where they have an opportunity to ask about all of the details. So it doesn't just seem like a non-transparent yes or no. 6:30
Location.
at the high school at the auditorium. The other thing, and I noticed you have it later in your agenda to appoint somebody from the town, from the council or whatever, the community, to be part of our task force that we're starting, which is a group that is going to include some school board members, school staff, administrators, community, and then we'll government too. And I think you probably will meet between now and through December in case there are things that we need to have taken into consideration for next year's budget. We need that kind of feedback. And I think as a board and as a system, we really are feeling like we need to get together and have some of those conversations because as we've talked about the elementary schools and the needs within those, we really need to know where our communities want us to go in terms of dealing with some really aging facilities. And if there are some things that our communities think we could do better or differently. The other thing is I know you know that our superintendent is retiring. Ken will be done at the end of June. And we have hired a new superintendent whose name is Todd Sanders, who will start on July 1st. And he is currently superintendent now in MSCD 58, which is Strong, Kingfield, Phillips, and Avon. And we did have representation from our communities on that committee too, so we're excited about it. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jessica Smith. I live at 13 Perkins Road. Tonight, I'm here to talk about Community Day. I'm on that committee also. The Community Day, maybe some of you know better than me. I've only lived in town for 16 years. But as far as I know, Community Day goes well into the past beyond that. The people that are on the committee right now, we're more familiar with the most recent 10 years of activities. We're really proud of how it's been going, and we feel that it's been growing year after year. Recently on the committee, there have been some concerns about the actions that you all have been taking, that affect our committee and our ability to run community days in the summer. So I just wanted to come and ask. Everyone else wasn't able to come tonight, so I'm just the messenger. We noticed that the community day group was removed from the town website. So at some point during the revisions, all references to the Community Day Committee, it used to be a list of all the names, so people were interested in contacting or joining, they could see all of our information. That's all gone from the website for the town. At the February meeting, we were told that the desire of the council was to cut us loose from the town and make us a separate entity, to the point that the account would be closed out and a check would be handed over. Here's the funds, kind of do it yourselves. That isn't what the committee wanted, so we were surprised that action was being recommended. Most recently, this last week, our funds were spent without any discussion or authorization from the committee. Where an insurance policy for the Community Day event was purchased last Monday. The committee meeting was Wednesday, so we would have been able to have it on the agenda, have discussion, talk about, the MMA, adding a rider, like how can we cover this as cost effectively as possible, so that we could, just like we're all talking about with the rec fields, sell food. The groups that have, like you all were discussing earlier, the fire department, the school, the Legion, the Girl Scout and Boy Scout troops, those are the groups that are fundraising and selling food or running bounce houses and things at this event. So we just wanted to reach out. We feel like volunteers are harder and harder to get these days. Everyone seems busy, kind of doing their own thing. We have a bunch of new people on the committee, which is so exciting. We have like 4 people that have never helped in years past, that have been regularly attending meetings, which is great. We have a couple more that are going to be coming. And we're just really proud of having this community event that brings everyone together. So what I wanted to ask for tonight is if the council would consider, when it's appropriate, I know we're not on the agenda for action, but refunding the money that was spent out of our account so that we have that money back. We've requested the council not spend any more of the funds without, having it on an agenda or being discussed at our committee meetings. If we could have, the third thing was to have a liaison from the town council.
I was just gonna
I
ask
know
you.
with the rec that has worked well, having one of you participate at the meeting so you have direct information. We would welcome that. I know we have some people from the town that come, but I think that would be really helpful for us going forward. And then if we could be added back onto the town website, we've created a Facebook page and we're sharing it. We post about the meetings, but just having that elevated visibility on the town website is really helpful so people know how to contact us. Our next meeting is May 24th at 7 p.m.
When is Community Days though?
It's the first weekend in August. We moved it because of
Okay.
graduation.
Okay.
Normally it's the first weekend in June, but we had several committee members that have seniors right now, and that is just a busy weekend, so we shifted it. We polled and we did a study on the other surrounding towns. When is it Naples that has like a big, there's some big,
Yeah.
well-known ones, so we didn't want to be
Casco,
competing.
yeah.
Casco, yeah. We didn't want to compete with vendors or, floats in the parade or, the big fire truck that we've had in the past. We didn't want to be competing with the neighboring towns for that, so.
So are you saying August 5th?
4th and 5th, so Friday night and then all day Saturday. We haven't nailed down plans for Friday night yet, but we're working on that. And we still don't have a theme, so if you have any ideas, please reach out. We're looking for a theme for this year.
What time on the 24th?
At 7 p.m. and the meetings are held right in this room.
Okay, so
So do we know who bought the insurance policy?
So every time that Jess said the council, replace the council with Vic,
Oh,
okay? All right. because because I haven't brought any of this to you as of yet, okay?
Okay.
So I have made some decisions on behalf of the town. Certainly as a council, you can feel free to override those decisions. Decision number one was, it's my understanding, as we're putting the Community Days event back together again, it's been my understanding that there's been a lot of reliance in past years on town staff. I'm not comfortable putting anything more on Lisa's plate. Some of you know I've been making a very concerted effort at taking stuff off of Lisa's plate. In addition to that, we have essentially pretty much a brand new town clerk and deputy clerk. I don't want them doing the business, the minutia business, the day-to-day stuff behind the scenes that I have been told that the committee has relied upon the town to do so before. And as the person who's in charge of the personnel here, I don't feel it's right. I want them learning and doing the work of the town that they need to do first. And it isn't like we have, other than Lisa, a lot of experienced people. And so, and just as with the rec committee and other items, I've been really diligently trying to take stuff off of Lisa's plate and spread some of her stuff around. So I had mentioned to the committee when at the first meeting that I did attend, that I wanted, this reliance on the town to do the work behind the scenes needed to go away, and that the committee needed to be more independent, like this event in several other towns.
The reason why there has been a reliance on the staff here was that Community Days was actually revitalized at one point by Dana Lee. Dana Lee felt that the community was in an area of disparity, my opinion on the take of it. And so they were trying to bring community back. So that's why it was revived, because she's very correct. We do have a very long history. We used to use the ball fields and have a literal carnival out there.
Right. I've attended it.
Yeah. And when that went away and it was gone for a while, for a couple of years, they realized that, and with technology and stuff, they were realizing even back then that they were losing community and they needed to do something to get community back. So it was actually a child of a prior town manager. And that's why there's been a reliance on the staff in the town, because it was revitalized by the town manager in a sense, and the council, because Nancy and Roger Galt, when Roger was the counselor at the time, were on the committee, and there were different ones that it was felt to be a necessity to get our town back unified.
So if I may address the insurance issue, the liability issue for a moment. So in hallway conversations with Nancy Peterson, who's on the committee, she had concern because it kind of dovetailed the storyline of selling food out back actually dovetailed with Community Days, because one of the things they're thinking about doing is a street dance. And again, liability issues come up. So when I was addressing the Outback with MMA, I was also addressing Community Days at the same time. And I actually do have a one sheet. If Community Days was a town committee, like the budget committee or something like that, where you appoint the people on the committee and have it fully under the auspices of the town, then the town would the event would automatically be covered with for the Community Day event as part of something that's fully under the town. So
you wouldn't need a waiver for that.
right, so it would be, and what I tried to work with MMA on is just simply having a rider on the thing, but they couldn't do that. And so the town has, MMA, I should say, has a program called TULIP. And TULIP is for events, entities that need temporary liability insurance. And so through the town, you go on to this other portal and you go through all the information and you can purchase a policy. And so I was on this website late last week. And what was it, it was a week or so ago. At any rate, so I was on there and I was going through the whole thing. And the Community Day Committee is also thinking about having vendors sell food, blah, blah, blah. And so I put in all the information and it came back $2,600 for a policy to cover the event. And so then I backed out, killed the food, and just did a general liability and came back at $319. I attended the last Community Day Committee to update the committee as to what I have done. I wanted to make sure that, as far as I'm concerned, the town, I think it would be very proper, and I even said at the meeting that I would like to see the town at least purchase the insurance policy moving forward. But in order to make sure that they were covered for this particular event, I went ahead and pulled the trigger for the liability coverage of $319. Now, the town has a reserve account of $3,900 and some odd dollars, $24, something like that, set aside for, it's called homecoming, but essentially it's for Community Day. And we've told the Community Day Committee right from the outset that that's their money. I guess it was raised through the town in prior years, and because of COVID, didn't have it. So this line item has just been sitting there. And so I instructed Lisa that to attach the $319 to that $3,900, which would bring the balance down to 36. Now, I certainly have no problem. To me, it seems like the proper place to take it and do it. There's a line item there. It says $3,900. They need liability insurance. I'm helping to provide liability insurance, saving them a step of having to do it on their own. But if they're uncomfortable, and this is the first that I'm hearing of this, I wish somebody had reached out to me personally before all of this. I have no problem in trying to find a different place to stick the $319 and somewhere else in the pensions and insurance budget. And make it work and have them have their $3,900. If it's a big concern, I don't see it as a big thing one way or the other than I want to make sure that they have liability insurance.
Okay, so have they in the past? Does it need to? Is that one of the line items? Is an insurance policy?
This hasn't been an issue in the past.
Because the way it was set up in the past, the council actually would take application and appoint Community Day members, the way they did everything. That's why they were listed amongst our,
Okay, and that's why they're on the website.
Yes.
And they have town, okay.
yes.
So they moved away from that probably with the change in town managers. It was, it was someone's sort of pet project, then it wasn't, there's different town managers, so it kind of.
Well,
got lost
between
along the
town
way.
managers and COVID, it just kind of has fallen away.
I have a quick question, just for clarification. How is this different than the rec committee? We don't
So
appoint the rec committee,
The rec committee is a direct committee of the town.
right? But this used to be, and then it got taken
Well,
off,
so
right?
the thing is, what I'm hearing right here was a direct committee of the town.
Yeah.
It's the first time I'm hearing those words. The town is always, it's been my understanding that the town has been a very big helpmate to make the project move, even doing some marketing, doing some stuff. And as far as the website thing is concerned, there was no malicious attempt. Since I've been here in the last year and a half, I haven't seen anything.
Well, no,
that says
there
community.
hasn't been one since COVID, right? Hasn't been since 2020. It got canceled in 2020, nothing in 21 or 22.
Because of COVID.
Because of
And I
COVID.
told the
Right.
committee, quite frankly, on multiple occasions, that anything that they've got going on marketing wise, I'll be more than happy to put it on our website and on Facebook. And I mean, I want this to be, it should be a kindred, we should be doing a helpmate thing unless the council wants to take this on full bore.
Well, no, I don't
It's up to you
wanna
guys.
take it on full board, but I also don't wanna,
Well,
I don't wanna.
but I
take
don't
it-
see, again, I don't see the difference between this and rec. We,
Well, I think because it just stopped being a thing, so we didn't do anything. Because I haven't done anything for community days since I've been here, and I came on in December 2019, so there's been nothing, because it was. Maybe
right,
they
but why
came to
can't
us.
it continue? to
Well,
be like
I
that?
think that it should, but I think we have to make motions, we have to, I mean, we can elect her to be the person if she wants to be it, we can choose someone to be a liaison, I mean, it's May now, it's gonna happen in August. If it's part of us, then you don't need an insurance policy, which I'm sure you can cancel, I'm just saying,
To that
Speaking
point,
of-
I do have a one sheet, it's on my computer in an email thread with MMA about the rules. That if we want them totally just under our insurance, I mean, at this point, the policy has been paid for this year. We
right,
paid for the policy,
so it's not just for one, it's not just for an event,
so, but moving, what's that?
it's not just for this event, or you just,
So,
you
the,
cancel the policy? I mean, it was just bought.
well,
last week,
I'd have to double check.
Well, I mean,
But
I just,
I think that I don't think that you can, I'd have to double check, but because, we paid for it up front, we paid for it with a credit card for the specific event under those specific parameters. I mean,
So it doesn't cover food, so they're not allowed to sell food.
so I mentioned, great point, so I mentioned at the last meeting that the Community Day Committee would have to, the suggestion from MMA, which I passed along, was for them to get, just in our case, to get co-insured liability coverage from the different vendors given to somebody on the committee.
But they wouldn't be covered, the committee wouldn't be covered. They would
I
just be accepting
Or
somebody
as
else.
long as there was food, as long as the committee was listed as a co-insured from the vendor, the committee will be covered.
I think there's a lot of things that have been dropped because community days wasn't included in anything because we haven't had it. So what I think we can do is, again, poke holes in this and find things, but what we need to do is go back to the drawing board, because I think we need to just decide. If we want to keep community days, we're gonna have to do something to help it out, or we say, you're on your own. And so is that what do we,
Well, we just said that we wanted to help Poland, but we're not gonna help our own.
I'm
That's
asking,
what I'm saying.
like, I'm asking you because we basically have to have them look for, or take them back on. So we've gotta there's a step that we gotta take care, because it sounds like, because it has been drawn.
And if we take them on, then what is the town's responsibility?
Well,
can outline
that's,
that.
I will defend my people. And it comes from a genuine space. I really need to protect my people. I need to make sure that they have the time, effort, and energy to do their own jobs and not take on something extra like this. So.
Okay, but well, you could say extra like this, but if it's a community, if it's for the town. We
Well,
have to leave the space.
It would be, we wouldn't, I mean, I'm assuming, like, again, we're not maybe meeting in the same place, but. Like, we do things for the rec department. Like, Lisa does do things for the rec department, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so, I mean, if they were, I'm not saying that. Let's just put that, we can't do anything about the past, right? Right, we can't go back and we can't fix what happened in the past. But if this committee is not looking for, I'm not speaking for the committee and I'm not speaking for you guys, but. If you can meet in the middle and just say with the parameters that they're not going to expect town people to do their job, the committee's job. But they will at least do things like put it on the website, the basic things that would be part of. Like what you've already said. That you're
Thank
allowed
you.
to-
That is
That's
the
right, like-
message I've tried to share and get across. Unfortunately, I don't think,
Well, I think
it
it's a lot
doesn't
of,
sound like it's been received.
well, I think it's a lot of new people on the committee, am I correct?
Some of them, yeah.
Okay. So this is kind of timely as well, because we're May 1st and things need to happen. So, I mean, it's kind of we're in a space where had been lack of communication or something, but right now we can't, like I said, we can't go back,
Can't go back.
but we've got to move forward. Like you said, we just talked about how we want this thing for the community and it's good for the community and community days has been in it. So I feel like we can't just drop this. Like I understand.
How can we not be involved in this?
Well,
This is our town. That's what it's all about.
Yes, okay, thank you. I was looking for some other voices here.
And I think
I
What
would be.
we what we can request is to have your people on your current committee fill out the lovely applications ASAP, and we can put it on our agenda for June to officially appoint them onto their committee.
Yeah, not that you can't do work before then, but that's so we can make this happen, because we want, if we're gonna go through all the proper channels, it hasn't happened because we didn't have COVID and such. But we want to bring it back on, one of us can be a liaison. Go to the meeting, I mean, if it's community days money that they raise and it's the town's if it becomes this, it's then the town's responsibility. And I realize that it's more work for them, but it's also.
It's pretty important work.
Yeah, I mean, does anyone in the,
The only thing I want to know, if it was always on the town, whatever. How did it go off? None of you.
I think because
Because of-
this didn't happen for 3 years.
I mean, it didn't happen for 3 years, but did you take it off the agenda? Did you just let it?
Well,
Well, we also have a new town manager that wasn't here before.
we have a new town manager, we have a new
Like,
town clerk.
It fell through the cracks
Yes.
somehow. I don't know how to fix it.
There's been website
We're
redoing
redoing the website.
and other things have fallen.
I mean,
off.
Not really making excuses, but I don't know. I don't know the
It's
answer.
no, it's not one person's fault. It's
no,
just
no,
a
I'm
lot
not
of
even
different.
saying that, I'm not saying, but if you didn't vote to take it off your town charter or whatever the hell you had it. Why isn't it still there, even if it didn't happen for 3 years, so it just sat dormant? Why isn't it still part of you? Did you vote to take it off?
No,
No, I think I don't know.
It's still there? So to me, it should still be there.
There's been also a change in council, so there's been a lot of changes.
Yeah.
And stuff.
Yeah, but it
things
still
different.
should be in there somewhere, if you didn't vote, you didn't vote to take it off.
I
They didn't vote to
understand what
take
she,
it off.
her
Yeah.
part.
I do understand.
Thank you, Paul.
I don't have the answer.
No, okay.
We need to be able to tell you that I.
We did meet during COVID, like virtually, we decided it wasn't appropriate or safe for us to have a large gathering when the kids weren't allowed to be in school
Right.
in 2020, and then in 2021, they were still hybrid, so we didn't feel
Right.
comfortable, even though it was outside, that we would pull everyone in town together in close quarters. So
Right.
we did meet and decide to not run the event.
Right, well, and I think that change in staffing, change in council, and change on.
Town manager.
Sure,
change
yes, I
it.
mean, in
Change
every-
it.
Change it, and that's-
Because our website is
Right.
all,
So I think that we need,
Let's
so we
call
need to have,
forward.
yes, we need to have a motion that,
Yeah.
I think-
either way, are we gonna bring this back and make it full on? And we can, with that, we can also say, like, we wanna make sure that there's clear guidelines about what the. Because I think if it was a town manager pet project, of course he's gonna have his people do it, right? I mean, that's how it happens. Like, you're the town manager, it's not necessarily your pet project, your people are new and you have I appreciate and I respect your position saying, I don't wanna add stuff to their plate.
Right.
So let's all be fair here to the community and to the people, and I'd entertain a motion that we decide either way what we're gonna do, because we need to be forward for the community and for this committee who's putting their time and effort in to do something and feeling like they're being dropped, so.
I don't know the proper wording.
So you should add an item so that way the history. will-
I make a motion that we suspend via Robert's Rule of Order the current agenda, so an addition may be made to the agenda about the consideration of the status and welfare of community days,
14.4.
14.4,
And then Community Day,
Okay.
Community Day Committee.
Community Day Committee.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Thank you.
Okay, so that's.
Did you say 14.4?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll revisit this in a few minutes. Okay, so.
Now, if you want, you can move up 14.4.
I was gonna say, I make a motion that we move 14.4 up from 14.4 to 13.3.
Let's just make it 13.1. Or
Make
after,
it 14 point.
How about 13A1? So-
okay.
All right.
14 point.
Janice, good luck trying to figure this out. I'll be with you.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna move past public comments, if there's anything else, we can move to council comments.
Public Works are doing a wonderful job out there. Do another store. Thank you, guys.
There you go. Good,
Yeah,
good.
one man
Our
down.
police do.
Okay, so if there's nothing else from the council, we can move to Vic.
All right. I got a handful of items for you. Number one, a website update. So on the new website, training will take place with myself, Janice, Michelle, and Ryan on May 17th and May 31st. And at the conclusion of those training sessions, we should be pretty darn well close to making the new website live. I would like to think honestly somewhere between now and the end of June. We'll see what corrections and modifications like Community Day that we'll want to put back onto the website. Microsoft 365 update for counselors that did bring your iPad. I will take it tonight. For those, if you need to get them to me sometime this week if possible.
You mean I actually was ahead of the game?
You were ahead of the game. I have Paula's in on my desk. And so I will say this. So the Microsoft 365 deepening is going pretty darn well. We've had some networking bugaboos on the back end, nothing that hasn't been easily overcome. But at the end, and honestly, the user interface for us doing it day to day is very simplistic. It's a lot easier than I thought it was going to be, quite frankly. And once we get the council all set up, you will be able to go on a SharePoint group called Council, and you will be able to see also whatever council files that are put on there. You can, as part of SharePoint, add stuff yourselves.
So like what we had before, but it's just on.
Yeah, so it's going to have better flexibility because the server that here is just for the building, right? So anything that's on the server is now shifting to quote unquote the cloud through 365, and it's going to give us some wider spectrum of ability to use. Crosswalk pole at the intersection, the crosswalk pole that was taken out a few weeks ago, as you notice, there is a new pole there. And it was actually a surprise to me that AD Electric, the company that's managing this for us, as I was going home on Friday, I noticed that they were working in the intersection. I don't know about any of you, but anytime I see that, I just see the orange "don't walk." I've never seen since the new pole's been in. I haven't seen a "yes, please walk." So I don't know. But so in terms of the insurance, so I've reached out and I've been in contact with the adjuster for the person's insurance company. And as soon as I get a bill from AD Electric, then I will forward that bill to the adjuster. And by the sounds, unless I get thrown a curveball, I think they'll just take care of it.
So we don't know who did it.
Yeah, I do. I have the report on my desk.
Oh, we do, okay.
Yeah.
It's gotta be a police report.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess, okay.
So, so in progress. Streetlight bill. Good news.
I like that.
You saw that, $340.70, again, down from 1,700 and whatnot. Just showing that to you, that's the next item I have here. So this now dovetails to the next conversation. At the last meeting, you guys authorized me to do the best I could for the town with main power options. And so as a part of your packet, you have, the town has 14 CMP accounts. 3 of those accounts are currently under contract. Just as I was walking in the door a year and a half ago, from Mitch to me, We signed a 2-year contract on those 3 accounts. They're due up in November. So the other 11 accounts, in my conversations with Maine Power Options, I signed off on taking, which is for this year, the standard open rate is just under 18 cents a kilowatt hour. And we have locked into an agreement for 54 months on those 11 accounts at just under 10 cents an hour. So I'll take that as a victory. And my game plan with the other 3, I'm currently set up in the program. It's like the stock market. Every Friday I'm getting a report that shows me what the pricing has been for the current week. And I have a price watch set in. So if that price watch is met, then I get an instant email sent to me at any time. And then I can take action on that if I want.
And we can renew prior to the end date of those contracts. We can extend them when we hit that price.
So, yeah, so those, are you talking about the ones I just signed or the ones that are in November?
The ones that are.
Oh, the ones that I just signed, they're locked in for 54 months. So you're locked in until November 27.
Okay.
Okay. And so once that comes and goes, then you go back to the standard offer unless whoever is
Negotiate.
managing the thing at that time can secure another contract, right?
No, I'm talking about the ones you're talking about now with the clock.
So the other 3 that are currently under contract until November, managing what I'd like to do right now, it's been at 12 cents and change. I saw Friday's report, it came down to 11.5. So that's a far cry from 9850. So I would obviously like to get those other 3 at or near 9850. So the winter months matter greatly. So these come off in November, just in time for. So that's why they're pricing a little higher. So as I watch this, if I get a 9850, I'm just gonna lock in.
We can do that before the other contract then.
Yes, it will,
Dovetail.
it will just kick in right from that date because these will be dated to pick up as that contract ends. And if not, what we may do is we may go to winter at the standard rate. And then next spring,
Get a low one again.
get a much lower rate. So I don't know. So it's, to me, all doors are open here. We'll just see what happens. But certainly if I can get something close to 9.8, I'm gonna lock us in.
Now, I noticed on our bills that we actually have a Spirit of Christmas Committee CMP bill account.
Things are titled very weird all over the place. Like the community days thing on our thing says homecoming. Things are very weird all over the place.
Can we change it? Can
So,
we change them?
so, yeah, over time, yeah. So specifically what you're referring to is the lights in the park, the Christmas lights in the park are on their own CMP thing.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And so there's just a little tiny bill there, okay? And
So what
actually,
happens, I'm gonna be a pain in your butt. During community days in the past, people have utilized that electricity in the park.
so anytime anybody uses the electricity that's associated with that, then we get billed for it and we'll pay 9850 for a kilowatt hour.
Well, that's fine, but does it come out of the Christmas and spirits?
How Lisa has it set up, it comes out of a line item that's just called utilities,
Okay.
okay? So we don't smith it down to that degree. Okay, I have one added one. And I will admit this one is a work in progress. But unless I hear objections, you can feel free to take a vote if you wish, but what I intend on doing. The portico out here on the side parking lot, as you walk into the building, the roof on the portico is a disaster. And somewhere during the winter, we actually had some tiles come off. And so between the report that we got from the engineer on the building last fall, and one of his first things was to replace that roof. So I'm gonna get ready and put out a bid for that little tiny roof project, okay? Which will come from the complex line, okay? And so what I'm looking to do is to put it out to bid. I think I need to tidy this up a little bit more before I do that. But as long as you don't have any big complaints on it, I'll move forward with it with the opportunity to bring to you at the June meeting the results of the bids. And you guys can make a decision, okay?
So you have this authority to do this piece anyway, you'll just come to us in case it's over what?
Yeah, if it's under 7,500, I'll do it, but obviously, I mean, we're all in this together, right? You know, but.
So how will you do like in past where they put a thing in the newspaper? or something?
Yeah, so, and actually, that's how I found the updated ordinance thing for the food stuff was. I'm in the server, we have it's called the G drive, so I'm in there searching for files from past manage everywhere, I'm searching. And I came across something that John Holly did many years ago, I think it was like 2015 or something like that. And so basically, instead of reinventing the wheel, I kind of used his thing as a template and adjusted it. What I need to do though is I need to put in, I spoke to Ryan this afternoon. I asked him what type of shingles should we use. He said, Daryl, I don't know if you want to comment on this. He said we should use 30-year architectural asphalt shingles. So I will make that a part of the bid specs. And we'll put that out there. Okay. And back to you.
Okay, so now we're going to, well, 13.1A, the Community Days Committee. What do you say? What is,
Community day committee, yeah.
yeah, so we had the motion already?
No,
Okay,
we put it on.
okay,
Put it on the agenda.
okay, so all of the words from that motion you made, can you make it again, or do you want her to go back?
So basically for this, I think it's pretty simple. If the intent of the council is to have the community to officially have Community Day be an official committee of the town, I think it's that simple.
Okay.
I make a motion
Put
that,
Jess as the chairperson.
what's that?
In the thing, put Jess as the chairperson.
What's your last name, Justin?
Wouldn't I have to apply?
Well, I mean, it's been happening, right, and we haven't done things, so maybe, and we'll say, for the next meeting, we would have all applications.
Yeah.
You're not necessarily the
I think
chairperson.
several of us applied, and like were appointed in the past and filled out that form, so.
Are you currently in charge of it now?
That maybe we should just redo the form, so everything is all in one neat package.
And we can appoint you as interim chairperson. We have to.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're gonna. Yeah.
That can make sense.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess the motion would be to reinstate the community days
Community,
as a, what is it?
town.
It's a committee of the town, an official committee of the town.
I make a motion that we reinstate the Community Days Committee as back to being an official committee of the town. And in the interim, until applications can be submitted, that Jeff Smith be considered the interim chairperson.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? I actually would like to say, I appreciate your, concern for your staff, and maybe there can be some discussion about, I don't know if the committee has rules or laws or however they work, but so that it can be, there's clear guidelines about what the committee does and what the town is responsible for.
Yeah.
And
I don't know.
and we're under the auspice of the town now, we have the right to do that.
Yeah, Yeah,
I hear you.
my soul is pure. I'm comfortable in my skin.
Okay, well. We, as a council, I believe I can speak for all of us that we respect that, but we also want this committee to be a part of it and that we, will allow for that.
Sure.
Space. So,
Sure.
I mean, I think everyone's on the same page here. I don't think there was any ill intent. So,
We don't think you were being a mean.
okay, so any further discussion? All those in favor?
Thank you.
Right.
Moving on to foreclosed property bid.
Please make sure they have those applications into the town manager for the next council meeting.
Are they on the website?
They should be out on the wall outside.
Yeah, and actually, so what I'll do is I will send you, I'll send all of you, and as much of you as I can, I have yours and Jen's emails. I'll send everybody a list of the MMA rules to be considered under the insurance. And I will reach out to them. I doubt very seriously that we'll be able to get the 319 back, but if I made a mistake, I'm sorry.
Well, if it's a town thing, you can pull it from somewhere else if they had that money budgeted somewhere else. But we're moving.
We'll do that.
We're moving
We'll do
forward.
that.
Okay, so the property.
Foreclosed property. Okay, so you have the one property at the base of Pigeon Hill that you had wanted me to tee up for you to go out to bid. So I have, and I believe I put it as a part of your packet, the tax acquired property sheet that will essentially be the advertising. And I created a bid rules sheet for that. And I had this vetted with our attorney. It's attorney approved. Both the bid sheet and the advertising.
He was okay with the quitclaim deed having the without covenants
Yes.
attached to it.
Yes, that she didn't have an issue with either.
Okay.
So we're ready on my end, other than, getting approval from you folks to go out to bid. So the gist of it would be that probably sometime later this week, we'll create an ad schedule for it to hit the papers. I'll put it on the website. We'll put it on Facebook. We'll have it posted here in the office, and the front office will have a handful of the bid sheets. If anybody wants the rules of the bids, and then it will be officially out there, and we'll accept bids until 11 a.m. on June 2nd, at which I'll come into this room and open up all the bids, and then I'll prep them for your council meeting the following Monday, and I'll bring all the bids to you guys that evening for your consideration.
So you're just looking for a motion?
Yeah, I need a motion for you to officially put the property out to bid with a minimum bid of $4,528.26.
I will make that motion.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Thank you. Who was the second?
Rose.
Rose was the first.
I was.
All of us the second. Okay. Great, thank you.
And a logo update?
No.
So, just a word, I'm having, so in a few days, you will see lined, and I think it's so beautiful every year. I really love it. We have a great strip here to see the American flags out there.
Yeah.
So we've got some fresh American flags we'll be putting out there. And, we've been through this logo thing. And so now we got the letterhead. And I want to, whenever Sunny is ready, I have a couple of what I think are really good, interesting ideas to use Sunny's logo. And I've talked to Scott Penny about it. you know, a lot of towns, I don't know, maybe Mechanic Falls has had in the past, you know, there's banners, you know, doing whatever. I would love to have your logo featured on banners throughout the town. And Scott seemed to think we could go every other, right now with the flags, we're going every other pole. That would be one way that we could do it. And we could probably, once we're through a couple of the items coming up, I'll make sure that we're in a good space with ARPA dollars. And we could use some ARPA dollars for all of that. And,
So make flags with it?
yeah,
Put on
to
flags?
use, you know, whatever you guys finalize for Sunny's logo.
Mhm.
You know, so that way we could have it featured on flags throughout town. There's another way of really, you know, enhancing what we're doing here. And I would say, Sunny, if you have any free time over the next couple of weeks, connect with me. I'd like to kind of get together with you on the logo, because I have maybe another way of making it easier. Okay. It's got a smile on
I
that.
didn't say that made him smile.
Moving on, new business, accept the 45,833 from Oxford County for the officer reimbursement.
So because we meet once a month, obviously a lot of things happen in between, from community day to all sorts of things. One of the things that happened is that we got a check from Oxford County, and we deposited the check, and it's now sitting in a reserve account for police training, which is where the town puts these monies. And so the town of Oxford gave us $45,833 because one of our new police officers that we sent to the academy for training, then at the end of training, left us.
And that was like 6 or more months ago,
Yeah,
right?
and so a lot of you probably know that throughout the state, there's a 5-year clawback plan from municipalities to municipalities, in this case, Oxford County. And so I do want, just like with grants, I want this council to really, you're in charge of the purse strings, and I want you guys to take a vote to accept, even though we already have it. It's perfunctory, but I think it's important for you to make a motion and take a vote to accept the $45,833.
Isn't this what we paid?
No, well, so there's more than, Paula can probably speak to this better than I can, but basically it's the tag for the academy. Plus, every time you send somebody to the academy, that officer's duty role needs to be filled by a different officer, and generally that's at time and a half. So all of that gets baked into the calculation, I assume,
So
room
that
and board
covers
at the academy, and so there's this whole calculus.
It's a lovely math formulation.
Well, it's like your mileage from the IRS. It's not just gas, it's your tires, your engine, it's your.
And this is the figure that came out.
Yeah.
And that's going into the police academy training.
Yeah, so it goes into.
It'll go back.
Because we're sending another one.
Yes.
We've got one right now.
Yeah.
And then we
And
can
we
hire
got
this guy.
one, I don't want to jinx anything.
Right.
Yeah, well,
They posted on Facebook, so it's official.
technically, he started this past Sunday.
I was gonna say, we officially have another one.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So, but
Oh,
it's,
we had a class.
it's still very early, so.
He's in phase A. They call him A, B, and C now.
And someone who just got out?
Fresh out of, so there's one that Brindley that just graduated from the academy.
Okay, and then another one
And
started.
then this one we're talking about now will be an actual new hire.
Higher. And we've got one in the academy right now, because Mark's going to teach next week. Up at the academy, we got one in that class.
So, yeah, so if I can have a motion on the 45K, that'd be great.
Well, I'll make a motion to accept the $45,833 from Oxford County for officer reimbursement.
I'll second that.
You need to go to the academy account.
Yes,
Is that what you said?
yes.
That's, yeah.
Okay.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Thank you.
Warranty extension.
Okay, so, actually, you know, I just thought I should have probably put this under old business because we did chat about this a year ago. Oh, well. So you have an updated email from, the gentleman with the company that monitors and inspects the in-ground storage tanks out back here. And, the license, I call it a warranty, is up for August of 24. Under normal rules, we would have to pull those storage tanks out of the ground, which is a huge expense. And when I was talking to the gentleman a year ago, Dylan, he had mentioned to me that there was another way of doing this, which was if he came in and basically renovated, updated everything, we could have another 5-year extension with a possibility of 5 one-year extensions beyond that before the tanks would have to come out of the ground. And his cost estimate to me this time last year was 40,000. And so I wanted, before I brought this to you, I wanted to get an updated cost estimate. And as you can see by the email reply, he has increased his 40,000 to
43.5.
43,500.
Yeah.
And while he doesn't think that, as he says in his email, that he doesn't think it will get to that amount, that's a good amount to set aside to do the project. And then also in his email is more good news after doing this project. Instead of getting the 5 years and then the 5 one-year extensions after that, he says in this email that as long as everything is okay with the tanks, and we keep them serviced well, they can stay in there a lot longer. So it's really a good play for the town. And so in a perfect world, if you're willing, what I'd like to have is a motion from the council to use up to $43,500 of ARPA money. I'll set that aside, penciled, set aside, up to 43,500 for this specific project. And
Have we put out to bid for other people that do the same thing?
put out to bid for what?
To find out if there are other individuals that do the same thing and might do it cheaper?
You might be able to do it. This person is the person who yearly inspects us out here. It's my understanding there aren't many people in the field. Quite frankly, there may be more, there may be none, there may be one. I don't know. I'm just going,
Past it.
in my soul, I would like to do people that are doing business with us, right?
Okay.
He's taking care of us. He's the one who's inspecting it. He's the one that knows about it. And so I think there's value in that. If you want, we can take a different route.
I was wondering if we're required to.
No, and plus the advantage, I don't know about if there even are others, but the advantage with this guy is he'll take care of all the licensing stuff with the state for us. He does now. He will, as he says in his paperwork, he will continue to do that.
I feel strongly if we've been working with this person, that we continue to work with him. It's just good business.
And I have no problem with that. I just wanted to make sure there's nothing that says we have to do a rip the way we have to with roads or other things.
No,
Like
well,
the roof.
yeah, so, but your purchasing policy allows flexibility for specialized situations. And I would say that this is a specialized situation.
Okay.
And it might not be a bad idea, by the way, maybe later this fall, for us to pull that out, because it'll be a couple of years. Because when I first got here, we did the purchase policy update. Might not be a bad idea later this year to pull that out, have another look at it, see if we want to make any adjustments.
Okay.
But I'm comfortable using this guy. He sold me, that's all I can tell you.
Okay, I make a motion that we set aside up to $43,000 from ARPA money,
43,500
500 from ARPA money
for this project.
for this petroleum project.
I'll second the motion. Any discussion?
Yes, do we know what this consists of? What exactly he's gonna do?
On the
So,
next page, there was the list of things. that you can do.
There was.
Right there.
yeah, do you have the 2 pages on it?
Yeah, the
Yes.
first page is the.
I'm a slow reader, thank you.
Okay, so that's discussion. So all those in favor?
Thank you.
Okay, 14.3, RSU 16 task force. Mary did mention this. We were going to talk about it later, but there's a write-up for. I see you have a name on here, someone from the community.
Yeah, so I put this out on the website and I put it out on Facebook. Normally I don't get a reply very quick. But in this particular instance, within an hour, I had somebody contact me, Terry Arsenal. Who would very much like to be the citizen representing Mechanic Falls on the task force. And then the request from RSU 16 is for us to have a town official. On
You
there
have
as
Jerry
well.
come in and fill out a, application, volunteers application.
I have not, because I'm just bringing this to you. We can do that on the back end.
Do the town have to assign the person?
I'm sorry?
Is that, how does it work with the task force? The town has to assign them. So we need to go through our process.
Yeah.
Okay, so that would be. Okay. But she would like to do it. I'm sure she'd come in and fill out an application.
Yeah, I would consider that a formality.
Right, well, that's what it means. We're gonna have to. Oh, we're gonna have to vote on her?
Yes. Like we would any committee member appointing and.
Okay.
So if you approve her, what I'll do is I'll reach out to her and let her know she's approved, but she does need to come in and fill out an application for historical purposes.
Okay, you want a motion?
I make a motion that we accept Terry Arsenal to be appointed to the full RSU 16 task force for future tasks regarding school issues.
Second that.
Who seconded? Rhoda. Okay,
Any discussion? All those in favor?
thank you. Now the hard part, they want one of you. They want a town official.
I'll do community days.
I'm only here for a short time.
Short time.
Yes. I don't have the time commitment for it. I think I'm reading about time commitment and I don't. And it has to be one of us.
It'd be really nice.
And actually, you know, it's for you guys to decide. It's whoever you want to represent. Would like to have a community member, which Harry would be the community member, and then have somebody from this will go. So if it's not one of you,
How often is this committee gonna meet?
it's gonna meet fairly regularly. It could be every couple of weeks.
2 meetings a month, morning or early evening for 2 to 3 hours per meeting. Plus there's additional time needed outside meeting, like it needs to
If
be.
you only did it during winter time that'd be one thing, but I can't do anything during. Things are crazy already.
I just can't do it. I'm on too many committees now. I'm tempted to say yes,
Well,
but I can't.
you can wait and see who the new member is.
All right, it's starting.
Starting
this
coming a month.
Sunny?
Yeah, I do think because of, we're trying, I know that our assistant superintendent is scheduling them at different times, sometimes early morning, sometimes later in the day, because there are also teachers and administrators that are on that committee. So I think that it's not her expectation that everybody can attend all the time, because we're trying to meet the schedules of lots of people, so.
Oh, you two share. Well, Sunday and. Share
God bless you.
it. I go one, won't go one. And you do that? They do that.
No.
I don't. Just trying to make it easy.
Did you just volunteer me?
I don't.
I'll second that.
No. No,
All in favor?
unfortunately.
I did you too. I said you could share.
I'm on 6 committees right now.
So make it.
Yeah, but I'm not kidding. There's times when I go Zoom in there, just so that I can be here for this meeting. I am literally on 6 committees, so it's just too much.
And maybe there's the possibility of a chair of one of your other municipal committees. I don't, it's nothing that says it has to be from the council. I like somebody that's
Right.
involved in municipal government and that you have chosen to represent you. Maybe there's somebody on budget committee or a leader other than council.
What about Andrea Lynn? Although she's on
She's
school
already on the
board.
board, yeah.
I just can't, I just know.
So let me ask a question. So what happens if we don't give you an official?
Then.
We don't be represented.
Yeah.
We just want the visibility and the communication to be very broad and all encompassing from all the groups in our towns, because the topics are gonna be really important. Consolidation, renovating these buildings that we have, it's a lot of money, it's a lot of students, it affects everything. So to have so many people informing those decisions is what the school board is looking for. So we wouldn't want to have nobody from this town there. And then what are our neighbors and all of our coworkers gonna think, like, where are the people from our town,
Well, you could try to postpone it until the vacant seat gets, then you have another member to choose from.
So it wave their magic wands. They want to announce this task force on May 12th. And so
If Rose is willing, does it have to be somebody that's currently sitting? You're done?
I am done. I've done my time. Thank you.
Well, and my concern with what she's saying, unless she lined somebody up to do a writing committee to see is from what Janet said, nobody's pulled papers for Rose's seat.
Yeah.
So,
Well, Sonny got in with 5 votes, so. Yeah, it's pretty good that somebody will get written. Somebody else got wrote in as well as Sonny, right?
But
But Sonny got elected, somebody else also has.
there were a handful of people with like 1 or 2 votes, type of thing. Yeah, I have the sheet saved for posterity, so riddle me this. So, if we don't get a resolution this evening and, do I just reach out to you once I do have a resolution? Okay. Because I'm sensing, unless we really break out the matchsticks and do short stick. I don't think I'm gonna get an answer from the table tonight. Does that work for you guys? Is that we
Yeah.
essentially just table it for now?
I mean, I guess we have to, I know there's been other times when people have said they would do it and then they haven't shown because they don't have the time commitment or it's just, it's just to give you an answer. And I don't want to do that. I understand the importance of having somebody who's vested in this municipal government. I understand that. So I would have to say that we need to table it. And at this point, if we have our citizen, then we send her and we revisit this.
And you can always, I forgot which one, I think Rose, somebody said the next person to
I think they get to be on that.
make that a requirement.
You are on the council and you're also on the task.
Congratulations.
Here to get written in.
Okay, so.
We'll just, unless one of you guys want to do it, I think we'll take that approach.
So these meetings are during the day.
I think they're going to be late afternoon, early morning.
It's like teachers.
There's just no way. That's for retired.
I'm racking my brain trying to think of somebody who might.
Any of you ladies interested?
Well, it has to be, we already have our citizen, it has to be someone in municipal government or unofficial.
Dave Griffith did say at one point that he might be willing to. I don't know, is Dave on your budget?
He's on council.
So
Planning board.
I specifically
Yeah.
reached out to Dave. You did, yeah, and he politely shot me down.
Yep, and then he kind of said there's a little bit of an opening here, so. Yeah, I didn't get it. So I don't know if there are anybody on any of those committees that you would feel comfortable doing.
See, other than Dave, who's retired, the rest of them have rigorous day jobs that take up early in the morning, so some of them come running into the planning board.
Right.
So they voted in there.
That's on you, Sonny, I ain't going there.
Any friends with him? I was gonna say, you can have a conversation. Okay, well,
We'll just move on.
yeah.
I make a motion we table it.
I second it. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
What was the motion, I'm sorry,
To table,
to table? Okay,
Okay.
all right, and who made the motion?
Paula made the motion.
Paula. Who second?
Tasha,
Who second?
I did.
Marcia did.
Archie,
I already.
and then 5-0.
I make a motion that we go into executive session, 1 MRSA 4056A personnel matter.
I'll second that.
All those in favor? Guess the four of us could talk about it.
So did you adjourn the meeting?
we're going into executive.
Yeah, there's no, well, and, well, it's only personnel that there'll be no voting after, so we will adjourn straight from executive session.
So we can leave.
You can-
I just
May.
have one question before you all go. What happened to the sale of the building? I thought that was a done deal.
Yeah, we did.
That's a done deal until you sign them.
No, but I mean, what happened?
They walked away.
Yeah, you,
Yeah. They walked away.
For a special reason? I mean, did they find something wrong with that town? or-
Well, the thing is, I'm always a little.
there's always reasons why they can, and they have,
Yeah,
it's one of those reasons.
I would just say that there was, an opportunity for them to, not move forward based on the purchase and sales agreement, and they opted not to move forward. But it isn't because they didn't love us.
I just wondered, because I thought sure it was a done deal.
We were hoping.
Yeah.
And it wasn't anything to do with the bill itself.
So good news, it's available for you to buy.
What am I gonna do with it?
Pay taxes.
Have a good meeting.
Night, ladies.
Well, thank you for noticing.
Actually, let me get out of here. Did we close down?
We did, we.
We're in executive session.